And I felt like inside we were just kind of slowly, it was like, wait, something's not right inside. And so we both knew we need to step back.
For 2 decades, Chip and Joanna Gaines built an empire out of nothing. A broke couple from Waco with a failed baseball career and a dream. They built a hit HGTV show, their own TV network, a magazine, and a home brand in every target. But in 2022, that empire fell apart when doctors told Joanna her spine was failing, and surgery was the only option. As fans worried about Joanna and prayed for her recovery, few noticed what was actually happening to the man sitting beside her hospital bed. What happened next left fans emotional and revealed a side of the Gaines family that cameras had never shown. This is the true story of what happened to Chip as he watched his wife face one of the biggest challenges of her life. But to understand how they got here, we need to go back to the very beginning. The tire shop. Their story didn't start on a TV set. It started in a small auto shop in Waco, Texas, in the spring of 2001. Joanna was a communications student at Baylor, quiet, watchful. For a while, she had dreamed of becoming a television journalist. Chip was the opposite in almost every way, a business major with more energy than direction, a former college athlete whose baseball career had quietly ended, leaving him hungry for the next thing. By 2001, that search had led him into real estate. He began buying neglected houses around Waco, renovating them, and selling them for a profit. The work was risky, and money was often tight, but it gave him the chance to build something of his own. Then one afternoon, he walked into a tire shop, and his whole life changed. The shop belonged to Joanna's father. Chip hadn't wandered in by accident. He had seen Joanna in a local TV commercial for the family business, and something about her had stayed with him. He decided right then to meet her. Their first conversations were ordinary, about tires, small talk. But Chip kept coming back, and Joanna let him. What followed was nearly 2 years of dating that looked nothing like a fairy tale. Long talks past midnight, cheap dinners, 2 people slowly figuring each other out. In 2003, they got married. And that's when the real challenge began. Broke and building. Almost immediately after marriage, reality arrived. Within months of the wedding, the young couple was broke, buried in debt, living in a half-renovated house that smelled permanently of sawdust. But here's what most people miss about Joanna. She wasn't the dreamer in that marriage. She was the doubter. Chip chased every idea that crossed his mind. Joanna was the one who held her breath, said yes anyway, and quietly figured out how to make it survive. She kept the books. She was the reason the dreaming didn't sink them both. In the middle of all that uncertainty, she opened a tiny shop and called it Magnolia Market. She designed pieces by hand and worked the storefront, often with a toddler clinging to her side, while Chip swung hammers across town. For more than a decade, nothing went the way it was supposed to. No breakthrough, just 2 people working far harder than the results seemed to justify. Then, in 2013, everything changed. For years, Joanna had been posting their renovations online, before and after photos of the houses they flipped. A television production company found those posts and saw what no one else had. This wasn't just good design. It was a couple, funny and genuinely in love, who happened to renovate houses together. They shot a pilot, brought it to HGTV, and Fixer Upper was born. It became a phenomenon overnight, not because of the houses, but because of Chip and Joanna themselves. Chip's loud energy against Joanna's quiet calm. A marriage that felt real in a genre built on fake perfection. People didn't just want the farmhouse kitchens. They wanted what Chip and Joanna had. And as the show grew, so did everything around it. Their tiny shop became a national destination at the Waco silos. Their brand landed in Target. They launched books, a magazine, and in 2022, their own TV network. What started as a broke couple flipping houses was now an empire worth tens of millions. From the outside, it looked like the perfect success story. But behind the cameras and magazine covers, there was a struggle that few people knew about. The pain she hid. Early 2022 should have been a victory lap. Chip and Joanna had just launched Magnolia Network. New episodes of Fixer Upper were filming. Their Magnolia brand was selling out at Target, and their business seemed stronger than ever. From the outside, they had reached the kind of plateau most couples only dream about. But success always sends a bill. It started as back pain, the kind Joanna could brush off at first. Filming days were long. Renovation projects were physically demanding. And raising 5 children left little time to think about herself. So she kept going, but the pain didn't fade. It grew sharper and more intense, until even simple movements became difficult. For months, she hid it from everyone. She smiled through photo shoots. She wore the calm everyone expected her to wear. The only person who saw through it was Chip. He noticed the way she winced when she thought no one was looking, the way her hand drifted to her lower back. While the cameras kept rolling, Chip began to feel something he hadn't felt in years. It was Chip who finally took her to a doctor. She had brushed the pain aside for months. He wouldn't let her anymore. At first, the news sounded almost ordinary. The doctors told her what she had probably told herself 100 times, that years of physical work had worn her body down. They ordered scans and sent her home. But over the next few weeks, the tone changed completely. The scans revealed something far worse than simple strain. Joanna's spine had deteriorated badly, the damage building silently for years. Rest wouldn't fix it. A lighter schedule wouldn't fix it. The doctors told them what no one wanted to hear. Surgery was the only option left. She entered the hospital quietly. No headlines, just her husband by her side, holding her hand, whispering prayers under his breath. The woman who had spent years designing and transforming homes was now stuck in a hospital bed. There was nothing she could redesign, organize, or fix. And Chip could only sit beside her and watch. He had spent his life solving problems and fixing things, but this time, there was nothing he could do to make it better. When the fixer broke. Anyone who watched Fixer Upper knows Chip Gaines doesn't sit still, cracking jokes during demolition, turning entire scenes into a chance to make Joanna laugh. After her diagnosis, that man vanished. Friends noticed the silence first. The Instagram posts stopped. One close friend said he didn't look exhausted. He looked hollowed out. His entire identity, the fixer, the builder, the protector, was useless in a hospital room. There was no blueprint for fear, no hammer for heartbreak. So he sat with her. He slept in the chair beside her bed and barely left, holding her hand through every test and every scan. And this wasn't even his first scare. In 2017, Chip had faced a heart issue of his own. Joanna held the line then. Now the roles were flipped. The man who could fix anything had to learn how to do nothing. He canceled appearances and turned down offers from his own network, going home to give their 5 kids a version of normal while their mom relearned how to walk. When fans caught a glimpse of him weeks later, the comments flooded in. They said they cried just watching him hold Joanna's hand in a photo. The fixer-upper grin was gone. In its place was the face of a man who had stared down the worst fear of his life and refused to leave the room. The comeback. By late 2022, Joanna was walking again. By 2023, the cameras were rolling once more. But the experience had changed them. In a 2024 podcast interview, Joanna admitted that balancing a marriage and a growing business wasn't always easy. For years, their lives had been consumed by projects, deadlines, and responsibilities. So they started making time for each other again. They took dance lessons and quickly realized they weren't very good at dancing together. They worked out as a couple. The activities themselves weren't the point. What mattered was learning how to slow down and reconnect after years of running a business empire at full speed. And around the same time, Chip kept repeating a simple message in interviews. If the fame, the television shows, and the business disappeared tomorrow, he would still be happy as long as his family was together. To most people, it sounded like a nice quote. But for Chip, it came from experience. He had spent months watching his wife battle pain, undergo surgery, and learn to walk again. That experience changed what success meant to him. Now, all of this happened because Chip and Joanna Gaines spent 2 decades building an empire while quietly ignoring what their bodies and their marriage actually needed. When Joanna's diagnosis finally forced them to stop, Chip didn't just lose his routine. He lost the part of himself that believed everything could be fixed. And what he found sitting in that hospital chair turned out to be the most important lesson of his life. That love isn't measured in what you can rebuild. It's measured in how willing you are to stay. I hope you enjoyed this video. Make sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more stories like this. We'll see you in the next one.